Hello, everyone, and welcome to our sixth Property Finder webinar, where we share our data to help you navigate through the COVID-19 situation. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Ari Keshishoğlu, and I'm the president of the Property Finder Group. This is our sixth webinar, and like the previous weeks, we will continue to shape the UAE real estate market and also help your businesses. Now, this week, I want to start by wishing you all Ramadan Kareem. May we use this time to reflect and also hopefully define the best way forward in this unprecedented situation together. And in case this is your first time here, let me share what we're doing in this webinar. Now, even with the good news recently in Dubai, the coronavirus situation is still affecting the economy, and we're all in this together. We, as Property Finder, we want to be your best partners during this time, as well as in the future. Now, this is important for us because we as a company do well only if your business does well. Like previous weeks, we want to give you more visibility into what's happening in the market through our data and also help you transact more through our insights. We have a lot of data and amazing data scientists who are working very hard to identify insights that can help you run your business. We will continue to share our data and insights with you today. Now, every week, we're taking your feedback into consideration, so our structure will be slightly different this week based on what you told us last week. You told us you want to continue to hear from external experts, so we have more for you this week, and we have new ones this week as well. So we will also continue to share our unique data. We'll start with a very quick update on COVID-19 data, and then also give you an update on the impact that we see on the UAE real estate market, but a bit shorter this week because we want to focus more on our external guests and also share some search trends that you can turn into actions. Then we will have our first external guest. As you know, Asia has been a couple of steps ahead of us in this situation. So we will have a guest from Asia today to share insights on user behaviors post-COVID in the property market. You also showed a lot of interest last week for mortgage-related questions. So we also have someone from Mortgage Finder with us as well. Now, at the end, there will be a possibility to ask questions. Some will be answered directly in the chat, in the tool, others during the Q&A session at the end of the presentation. Now, and as always, after the webinar, we'll send you an email to get your feedback. Now, with that, let me dive into our content. Next slide, please. Together with me, like the previous weeks, I have Lynette Abad, who is the Director of Research and Data, and Stuart Shapley, who is the Director of New Homes. Stuart is also running our coronavirus response approach at the moment. We also have team members behind the scenes so that we have a smooth experience today. And as suggested, next slide, please. We have two guests this week, Georg Schmiel, who is the executive chairman of Juwai IQI Holdings. Juwai owns the largest online marketplace for overseas properties in China, Juwai.com, as well as the largest project sales group in Southeast Asia, IQI Global. And we also have Richard Boyd, who is a director at Mortgage Finder with us today. We're obviously super excited to have them with us this week. We want to share as much insights as we can with you. Next slide, please. Now, every week we ask you if you're happy with the content of the webinar. Now, according to the survey and the increasing number of participants every week, it looks like you are, and that's why we're here again today. Now, on the left side, I share how you graded us, and last week's grades have been absolutely stunning. So 98% of you thought the webinar met or exceeded their expectations. 98% of you said that you're interested with new technology that enables you to operate under lockdown. We asked this question after the live launch, which we'll touch a bit today. And 98% again rated Property Finder's effort to be your best partner as good or above that, which is also amazing. Now, thanks for these ratings. Myself and my teams are working very hard to earn your trust. The difficult situation right now we're in due to these amazing ratings is that it will be very hard to beat them in next week's survey, but we'll try our best. Now, on the right side, we asked you again your view on the time to recovery. And last week, you were less optimistic than the previous weeks. The highest voted option with 37% of participants is that the recovery will take 3 to 6 months. And the highest voted option previous week was 1 to 3 months before. So as I said before, the most difficult part in this crisis is the uncertainty, which is what you reflected in these surveys for all of us. This is why we try every week to bring you the best data on the real estate market. Now, I will now hand over to Lynette to drive the presentation. Lynette?
Thank you, Ari. Thank you. It's nice to be here with all of you, and Ramadan Kareem. I wish you all a very blessed and healthy Ramadan. Now, let's dive into the data. So let's start with a quick look at the COVID-19 situation. Next slide, please. The number of cases continue to increase globally and in the UAE since we last spoke. There are more than 2.7 million cases globally. In the UAE, we have more than 10,000 cases. However, the cases per 1 million people stays low compared to other countries. Also, the pace of increases in the number of cases is slowing down. The UAE government, the UAE government removed some of the restrictions this past Friday. We obviously recommend to follow the government guidelines and to remain cautious. With that said, having less movement restrictions now could be an opportunity to conduct live viewings using the product we presented last week, and I will talk a little bit more about live viewings later on in my presentation. Next slide, please. Now, let's look at the real estate data. We have the best data on the UAE real estate market trends, and we are now going to share this with you. Just to note, we have shortened the usual data that we present, as most of the trends remain the same. We will also share new data and what kind of actions is suggested, because we want to help you manage your business well during the time as well as in the future. Next slide, please. In the previous weeks, we showed you that listing views were increasing despite the number of listings decreasing. This has now changed. Last week, both number of listings and listing views increased. Again, both number of listings and listing views have increased last week. The number of listings were up 6% for rental and 5% for sales against the previous week. And the number of listing views were overall growing despite a small decrease, 3%, for sales listing views. Next slide, please. We also looked at the very latest data in terms of leads and impressions to see if the softening of movement restrictions had an impact. It seems it has. Both leads and impressions were up in the last 2 days. I repeat, both leads and impressions were up in the last 2 days. Next slide, please. What we show on this slide is a summary of sales leads for week 17 in 2020 compared to the same week last year. The trends are similar to what we discussed in the previous weeks. Dubai is the most impacted. Obviously, we're on full lockdown mode just up until this past Friday. Leads for villas in Abu Dhabi are significantly higher than last year. And leads for both apartment and villa in the Northern Emirates are significantly higher this last year. Next slide, please. Let's look at the same slide for rental. Most of the trends are similar to the previous weeks. Northern Emirates has more leads than last year, and villas in Abu Dhabi are up against last year. However, there's one new trend that we had not seen in previous weeks. Rental leads for villas in Dubai are up 11% compared to the same week last year. Again, rental leads for villas in Dubai are up 11% compared to the same week last year. So this is a good time to ramp up on your villa/townhouse listings as people are valuing personal outside space in their homes. Next slide, please. Let's look at sales transactions. So I said this before, and I'm going to say it again. Transactions that we see now likely started before the COVID-19 crisis. So the average sales cycle is 45 days from beginning to end. So the biggest impact that we will see with sales transactions could be around mid to end of May. This past week, we observed the same trend in sales transactions, which is below 2019 levels since mid-March, with the secondary market being the most impacted. Next slide, please. Now, let's look at supply. We had more than 20,000 units completed so far in 2020. Now, let me emphasize one thing. These are completed units and not handed over units. So we had about 15,000 apartments completed in these top 5 communities: Business Bay, Town Square, Downtown Dubai, Dubai Sports City, and Dubai Production City. And we had about 3,800 villas/townhouses completed in these top 5 communities: Akoya, Dubai South, Damac Hills, Akoya Oxygen, and Hatta. And we had about 1,000 service apartments completed throughout Dubai. Next slide, please. So let me summarize what I just said. Number of listing and views are increasing. Previous trends in terms of sales and rental leads mostly the same. Dubai is still impacted in terms of sales leads for both apartment and villa. Rental leads for villa up against last year in all Emirates. Sales leads for villa continue to be higher in Abu Dhabi and in the Northern Emirates compared to last year. The Northern Emirates continue to outperform last year across all categories: sales, rental, apartment, and villas. Sales transactions are still below 2019 levels, with the secondary market being the most impacted. And there were a little over 20,000 new units completed in 2020, completed, not handed over, and the majority of them were apartments. Next slide, please. At Property Finder, we want to provide you with the most relevant data that will help you take the right actions for your business. This is why this week we want to share new pieces of information on search trends that will help you take immediate actions. Next slide, please. We had lots of questions in the previous webinars about the impact of COVID-19 situation on prices. Are prices declining during this time? We looked at the percent of searches that include 1, the maximum price that a consumer would put in on a search, and 2, the minimum price that they would put in on a search. There were no significant changes in consumer behavior in terms of prices. What we discussed in previous webinars is a change in the type of units consumers are looking for: bigger units with outdoor space rather than the price range. Next slide, please. This week being the first week of Ramadan, we also look at specific trends during the Ramadan period to help you make the most out of the next 3 to 4 weeks. On the right side of the slide, you have the top chart, which is a distribution of search by hour of the day in 2019. So these are 2019 stats. So the dark blue line is during Ramadan and the light blue line is not during Ramadan. So no real significant changes, slightly more searches in the early hours of the morning between 3 to 5 a.m. and slightly less searches towards the end of the day between 4 and 8 p.m. Now the chart on the bottom is less distribution of leads by hour of the day in 2019. So we have the dark blue line, which is during Ramadan, and the light blue line, which is not during Ramadan. Same trends as searches, however, important to note, more leads come between 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. So during Ramadan, more leads come between 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. Next slide, please. Now, if we look at the answer rate in 2019, higher answer rate during the night, midnight to 5 a.m. However, the answer rate between 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. is very similar. While we have seen in previous charts, there are more leads during this time during the Ramadan period. So I will repeat, there are more leads between 10 a.m. and 12 p.m. during Ramadan. Therefore, we recommend you answer your phone during these times. So what's the action? Increase your answer rate during the time of the day where there are more leads during Ramadan, which is between 10 and 2 p.m. Next slide, please. So let's recap the user insights. So this is the insights from this week. There's no significant change in search behaviors around maximum and minimum prices. And during Ramadan, more leads are received between 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. Make sure you are available to answer your phone during this time. So insights from last week, which we'll do a really quick recap as well. There was a significant increase in short-term leads, especially in Dubai. The percent of searches for pool and garden have increased. Customers are increasingly searching for houses. Virtual tours can support you in generating leads. Now that the lockdown has eased a bit, this is a great time to get virtual tours done, especially on your vacant listings. In rentals, the high price category is the least affected. In rentals, payment terms are significantly more important now. This is the time to get your landlords to accept 6 or more checks. Actually, a friend of mine who is renting in JBR, she was able to negotiate with her landlord in the beginning of this month to 12 checks. So it's a good story for you. The answering rates are very similar to those before the situation, increasing that will bring you more business. And the percent of warehouse and commercial searches is increasing. Next slide, please. Last week, we introduced a new groundbreaking and free product called Live Viewings that allows you to schedule and broadcast live viewings for any property in the UAE in real time. Today, I want to give you an update on the adoption of this product. Next slide, please. We held a webinar dedicated to live viewings last Thursday. The objective is to make sure that you can make the most out of this amazing product. There were more than 400 participants in this webinar, and we had more than 120 questions, a lot of engagement. The feedback was extremely positive. All of you felt the webinar either met or exceeded your expectations. We already have over 600 requests for activations of live viewings. Very good. This demonstrates that our product is fit for purpose, even more now that movement restrictions are less strict. It is important to note that on the Property Finder website, we have 500,000 unique visitors weekly. Take advantage of this opportunity, schedule live viewings, and reach out to an audience you won't find anywhere else. Also, when you create a live viewing and lead tracker, you will get a link. Share this link on your social media channels, your company's website, and more importantly, to your list of clients and leads in your CRM systems to get maximum exposure. We will have more webinars for live viewings. The next one is this Thursday at 11 a.m. Please continue to send your requests for activation. We believe in this product, and obviously so do you, and we are confident that it will help you significantly to operate. For those of you who are the early adopters, so these were the first 50 people who signed up, please check your email as you will need to fill out a form to avail the free marketing we are offering for you. Now I will pass you back to Ari.
Thank you, Lynette. We're very excited by this product launch and work very hard to make it available to you at such a short time. It seems like you're as excited as we are, which is great. Well, today was another big day for our webinar attendance. We all know that you need to close business. Therefore, we are working super hard to make this the absolute best hour of insights for you every week. And a huge thank you for our external guests as well. Thank you, Georg and Richard, for being with us today. We have the best data in the UAE real estate market, and much more than the information that we shared today is available through Data Finder. As you know, we gave free access to Data Finder to everyone, so please ask your account manager if you haven't activated this access. We also publish these webinars on our hub if you want other people in your company to see these insights, for example. And as I always say, we want to be your best partner during this time and also in the future. We only do well if your business does well. So we will ask you for your feedback by email in a couple of minutes. This is so that we can make this webinar even better next week. So please answer our survey, and I promise we'll try even harder to be your best partner based on your feedback. Now, once again, Ramadan Kareem, everyone, and stay safe and see you next week.